Well, welcome everyone to the October Smart Money Town Hall. I'm going to share my screen here. It is October. It is nearly Halloween, and I'm sure everyone has scary stories from this year to share. Welcome to those of you who have been here before, and welcome to people who are newcomers. Here is what we will do today. We're going to start off with personal introductions. We're going to be about a minute each, and I will hold up the yellow card if you are good on your time. I'm sorry, I'm going to hold up the green card if you're good on your time, and then just because we want to respect everyone's time, we'll hold up the yellow card if you're kind of running to the end. Would love to hear your name, what you do, what industry you're in, because that's important in what we're going to be talking about today. And anything specific you want to get out of today, or something that occurs to you about our meeting. Then we'll go into our economic update, which is going to be about 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes of discussion and Q&A. We're here to learn from each other and kind of see how everyone is doing in the economy today. And we're going to wrap up with one of my Smart Money Minutes. And so today we are going to be talking about the people, various people on your financial team. And then we're going to wrap up. So let's start out with personal introductions. And I'm just going to kind of go in the order that I see people here. Amanda, if you would like to start out, and please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda May, and I am the owner of Wondering Perspective Marketing. And I'm here to, what I do with that is I capture a new perspective for your brand, and that can be your business brand or your personal brand. And so I'm really all about kind of capturing who you are and who your business is as an essence, especially right now during everything that's been going on in 2020. It's so important to kind of know what your established mission is, whether that's your mission for your business or mission for yourself. And so I'm kind of there to kind of help guide you in that a little bit. And then also I do photography. And so a lot of times that comes with doing headshots or product marketing and that kind of stuff like that. And I run social media and graphic design for people. So it kind of looks different for everyone, which is why I have a personal take on it. I do offer a free 30-minute consultation, and I'll put my link in the chat box for you, and you can schedule a one-on-one with me. And I don't want to take up too much time because it looks like there's a lot of people on here today. So thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Joe, if you can introduce yourself, and then next, Ken, if you would like to introduce yourself, you may.
Sure. So I'm Joe Hanks. I am an account manager at a software company, and we have a suite of software that publishes digital content. So if you've ever been to a hotel that's got a digital sign, or in a cafeteria that's got digital menu boards, corporations use our systems to broadcast employee communications. Manufacturers use our software to post-production information on their lines, that kind of thing. And I think what I want to get out of today is, I said this the last time and just bears repeating again, I've kind of checked out of the world over the last 6 or 8 months on purpose. So I loved learning a little more in the last one and hope to continue that again.
Nice. Thank you, Joe. Ken, if you would like to unmute yourself, feel free to introduce yourself and what you do.
Hi, my name is Ken, and I work for RTD. I'm in public transit, and I'm one of the risk management analysts here. So basically, that's what I do.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken. And next, Abby, and after Abby, Camille.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Abby Gardner. I own Abby Cooks Wild, a meal prep service based here in Denver. And what else am I supposed to say? Sorry.
Anything in particular you're interested in this morning, or just?
No, I'm just excited to be here, and I'm kind of just planning to be a sponge and just take it all in. So thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you for being here, and hopefully we will entertain you as well as give you some good information. Camille and then Jen.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Camille Parker with My Word Publishing, and I am a writer as well as a self-publishing consultant. I call myself a book midwife because I guide your book through writing, clear up through your launch. I have a purpose in this world, and it's to connect the world with words. And everybody has stories to get out into the world, and I just want to help you get them out there. As a self-publishing consultant, I guide you from getting you with your correct editor and helping you set up your accounts that you need to have set up, as well as helping you with your launch and getting your book set up as a bestseller from the word one. So if you have interest in getting together with me, I'm just not even thinking this morning. If you're interested in getting together with me, I'll put my link in the notes as well. And what I'm hoping to get from today is just, as Abby said, as was it Amanda said, somebody said, as to be a sponge. I just want to be a sponge. Thanks.
Thank you, Camille. Jen? And then after Jen, we'll have Jean.
Good morning, everyone. I am Jen Steer, and I founded and own On Your Face Glasses, the online prescription eyeglasses boutique that focuses on fit. I provide a highly collaborative, efficient process to deliver specs across the United States that you love wearing, guaranteed. I use Zoom, and I connect to understand your life's passions and dreams, your genius, your eyewear needs, of course, and preferences. And then I guide you to choose frames that reflect and express your inimitable essence, so you feel inspired, unshakably confident, positively you. I ship you frames to try at home for 7 days. We evaluate them together in a follow-up Zoom session. I don't sell, I listen. As Joshua can attest, sometimes I will even order frames for you, just for you to try, and kind of watch your body language. I am here to explore and to listen. So I'm just looking forward to what I can learn here, and it's good to see you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. Jean and then Joe.
Hey, hi, I'm Jean. I'm a corporate trainer for Dish Network. I'm in learning and development and do leadership and individual contributor training. And what I'd like to learn today is Melissa's opinion, everybody else's opinion on what they think about the economic future. How do you say ditto but triple? Triple being a sponge.
Well, we'll talk about the economy, but we're not going to go into politics or religion. So
No politics, no religion.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on. I know, it's hard. It's so hard. But if we could have Joe and then Joshua.
You didn't mean me, did you? Because I already went.
Oh, you did. You went first. I'm sorry. I was starting to go in alphabetical order.
I can go again. Keep talking.
Joshua and then Sarah.
Hi, I'm Joshua Timberman. I am married to Melissa, and it is wonderful to see all of you today. I am a technical operations person. I've been doing that for 20 some odd years, and the company I work for is in software and was acquired recently, so they are unfortunately not keeping my position, and so I'm now looking for a different company to go to. So I don't have any company info things to share, but I'm an individual contributor in larger organization. And I am looking forward to hearing the update for this month, since we had the previous month, so I want to see how they compare.
Thank you. Sarah and then Sebastian.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Gleason. I apologize, I'm kind of in the dark here, although my house is completely lit up. I see Sherry Wagner on here. So like a personal trainer, I help people train their minds and emotions to get the results in life that they want. I use a program that is very East meets West, mindfulness and meditation, along with Western psychology and cutting edge neuroscience. So all the latest techniques as well as the tried and true ones that people have been using for thousands of years. I do free group sessions. I also do one-on-one sessions with work. The teacher that I work with, the program that I work with, I like to call him kind of a mix between Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra. So really that right, left brain, east, west kind of fusion. And I also sell, now I'm a massage therapist and an energy healer, but through all of this, I've been shut down. So I just also joined on with HempWorks to sell CBD to my clients so I can support them through their health and wellness goals while all this fun stuff is happening. And I'm just here to learn anything I can about money and finances because I've just started to make friends with that over the last few years and really enjoyed my conversation with Melissa. So glad to be here meeting all of you and learning what I can.
Thank you so much. Sebastian and then Sherry.
Hey everyone, my name is Sebastian Gast. I am a small business broker, so I help guide business owners to the sale of their business. So if you have a business, don't ever feel trapped by it. There's always an out. So if you want to retire, play with grandkids, move out of state, drastically change directions in your life, I can help you kind of transition. I'm also a small business owner myself. I own a boutique fitness rowing studio in Edgewater called Row House. You're all welcome to try that. So, I just kind of eat and breathe small business, love everything about it, and it's good to be here.
Thank you, Sebastian. I don't think I knew that about you. That's really cool. Sherry and then Tracy.
Hi, I'm Sherry Wagner, and I am a fitness and nutrition coach. I specialize in kettlebells, and my studio is now in my basement. All of my programs are online. I do some in-person personal training or online. That's the personal training client's preference, but I also do small group classes. And the cool thing about being online now is even though I do specialize in kettlebells, not everybody has kettlebells, not everybody wants to do kettlebells. And so now I can teach what I know from kettlebells and all of the great techniques and everything that we do and just apply it to using dumbbells or whatever equipment people have. And my motto is strong is not a size. So I'm very passionate about not seeking out fitness for the purpose of weight loss or body composition change, but for the purpose of quality of life, longevity, all of the other benefits you can reap from it. And I'm here today because Melissa has invited me several times and I've never been able to come. And finally I said, I'm going to check this out and see what this is all about and just learn what I can.
Thank you. I'm really glad you made it. So Tracy.
Hi everyone, good morning. Tracy here. I'm a real estate broker with Keller Williams Integrity. It's just located in Cherry Creek. I live on the east side of Denver. Some call that Park Hill, Mayfair. There's a lot of different names. I typically work, obviously anyone who wants to buy or sell residential real estate. My passions are really working with veterans. And I've also been doing some work with small business owners and providing some different community give back programs, working with small business owners and some different nonprofits in the area. And then recently also I've been working a lot in my neighborhood and working with a couple of buyers who, she's an immigrant single mom and she's buying her first house. It's just a really amazing experience. And I'm here just to learn. I think this kind of all goes together, finance, real estate. Yes, this is my first time and just here to learn. And I really appreciate the invite. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm also very glad you made it as well. I am Melissa Timberman with Five Rings Financial, and I am here to help protect you and your lifestyle. I'm here to make sure you retire the way that you want. I'm here to ensure that nothing derails you. I want everyone else to succeed. It makes the world a better place. It's fun. It's usually easier than people think to get to the financial plan that they want. And so I am here to help you with that. Please put all of your contact information in the chat. Please feel free to reach out privately to someone who's caught your eye. Part of what we want to do here is create a community and meet new people. So thank you all for being here. I am going to share my screen again, and we're going to get started with the economic update portion of our morning. Oh, I did it again. Let me share the actual PowerPoint present slideshow here. Thank you all for your personal introductions. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 5 basic measures of how an economy is doing in a nation. First, we're going to talk about unemployment, a couple of measures there. Then we're going to talk about housing, and we are going to talk about inflation next, spending, and consumer confidence. So our first measure here is unemployment. Our unemployment rate is 7.9%. It's really not good. An unemployment rate between 2 and 4 is what is considered really good for the economy. If you get too high unemployment, you have people out of the workforce, and that means they can't spend money. They're not contributing to the economy. Life is hard for them. If you get unemployment under about 2%, that means that employers have a really hard time finding people to work for them. And it means that employers can't expand because they just can't find the workers in the workforce. So unemployment was really good for a good long time, the last couple of years. And then, of course, the apocalypse happened. And unemployment has been steadily improving since then. And so we are down about, we have cut our unemployment rate nearly in half, and that's good. And yes, this chart on the left looks really bad. Unemployment looks really high. But the chart on the right just shows you that this happens regularly. We do not always have a straight up curve when it comes to the employment and the unemployment rate. Next, we're going to talk about actual jobs added and lost. And so from August to September, we gained 660,000 jobs. And so that's good. Over the last 6 months, because our unemployment is so high, we've lost almost 10 million jobs over the last 6 months. And that's, again, not a great number. One thing to notice here is that, yes, unemployment is improving. Yes, we are still adding jobs. But note that if you're at previous town halls, note that the pace of economic improvement is slowing. Next, we're going to talk about hourly earnings. Does it really matter if you have a job if you're making less and less and less over time? So hourly earnings went down a teeny tiny fraction. They went down just a little bit over the last month, but the hours worked have increased. So people are working more hours per week. And so actual weekly earnings, how much money people are bringing home, did increase a teeny tiny % over the last month. So that's good news. That's pretty good news. The second measure we talk about when we talk about how an economy doing is housing, how an economy is doing is housing starts. Now, for the realtor in the group, Tracy, Tracy's probably much more versed in what the local economy is doing, but on a national scale, it's really hard to talk about real estate. And so the best measure is housing starts. It's not just how many new housing permits were approved. It's about how many new housing residential units were actually started being built. And so when housing starts improves, it means that we're getting more housing in place, and it's a measure of how confident builders are that the economy is improving over time. So from August to September, we went up a teeny tiny bit. And from September of last year to September of this year, it's gone up 11.1%. Now, that seems like a really big number. So you would think that I would color code that green. My red color coding is for measures that aren't doing very well at all. Blue is it's doing okay. And green is, yes, it's great. The economy is really improving. And so for a big number like 11.1%, you'd think that's great. That should be in green. Well, unfortunately, there's a measure of uncertainty, and so these numbers are revised over time, and the measure of uncertainty in that number is actually really high. So this number is actually really uncertain. This number could be 11.1. It actually could be 0.1. There's actually that much uncertainty in that number this month, and that's unusual. I don't know why that is. You'd think that these people have been doing this every month for decades. You'd think they would have a pretty good system as to measure how these things are doing. And unfortunately, this month, the numbers are not actually that great. The numbers are not actually that certain. So next we go on to our third measure of the economy, and this is my favorite one because it's the one that's most solidly green over the last few months. So inflation is the measure of how much prices are rising over time. How much does it cost you to buy groceries? How much does it cost you to buy your car? That kind of thing. Those prices go up over time. You know, a dozen eggs did not cost $4 50 years ago. So the consumer price index and the producer price index are different ways of measuring inflation. So the consumer price index is how much we are paying for a basket of goods. The producer price index is an earlier measure. It kind of predicts inflation rises and falls more quickly than the consumer price index. And again, just like housing starts, it kind of indicates how confident producers are in how much they can produce at a given amount. So the Fed, that remains at 0.25. We want that rate to be between 0 and 2. More than that, and inflation rises too quickly and it's harder on people. If the inflation rate stays too low for too long, that can actually depress the economy. So the rate itself is good, but how long it stays at that rate can kind of be a measure of whether that's good or bad. So inflation should stay between 0 and 2% for a healthy economy, and we are right there. So that is my favorite measure this morning. Then the fourth measure of the economy is spending. And real GDP is how much we are producing as a nation, the domestic product we are producing as a nation. Now, this is measured in quarters, not months. And just so you know, this measure is adjusted every month through the quarter so that we get a more accurate picture of how things are going. And Q2 did improve slightly from last month. So Q2 was measured to be, I think, minus 32.9, and it has been revised upward to minus 31.4. So we have not lost as much GDP. We've not lost as much GDP as we thought. So we are doing teeny tiny slightly better, but it is a huge decrease. So that's something we have to recover from as a nation. The next measure of spending as a measure of the economy is how much people are buying in terms of retail sales. Retail sales are up a little bit. That's great. Retail sales tend to dip this month. It's just kind of it happens every year. I think parents are bringing their kids back to school. There's more spending on school supplies, but less spending elsewhere. And so retail sales being up by 2%, and I believe they were up by something like 6 or 7% from this time last year. So retail sales are good. That's a pretty good measure. Durable goods sales dropped. And does anyone notice something about this chart on the right? Feel free to unmute yourself. It's about the date. These numbers are supposed to be updated every month. And so kind of like the housing starts, where there's that huge measure of uncertainty, and that's unusual, this month, they did not release durable goods numbers for September. They missed it completely. And I haven't seen that happen as long as I've been looking at these things, not terribly regularly over the last 5 or 6 years, but I've never seen them completely miss this kind of thing. And so that's why that number is in red when a plus 0.7, durable goods is the purchases of things that last a long time. These are cars, these are appliances. And when people buy those things, it means they have confidence in the economy. So that's why we look at durable goods sales, and I've never seen them completely miss like this. So it was a little odd, not a huge concern, but not good. And so that one gets kind of a red vote for me this month. Next, we're going to look at consumer confidence, and consumer confidence is up a lot this month, which is great. Last month, it was down. Consumer confidence was down almost 8 points to 86, and from August to September, it went up 15 points to 101.8. It's still kind of lagging to where we would think it would be in the year 2020, but it is recovering, and that's good. The leading economic index is a measure of, it's a more comprehensive measure, and it was created just a few years ago. And so we look at that number, and it involves a lot more things. The consumer confidence score is just a survey of households. So the leading economic index takes a lot of other factors into consideration, and that leading economic index is also up, and it has been up for the last several months in a row. So that's a good score. We are going good places. And our next measure of consumer confidence is kind of what a lot of people think of when they think of how the economy is doing, and that is stock market performance. And so this is stock market performance over the last year. And this past weekend, yesterday, the stock market closed at 3,400. So we had a dip in March, and we have slowly recovered since then until the beginning of September, when stock market performance was great and we reached an all-time new high, which was awesome. But since then, stock market performance has been really volatile. And so even though performance is somewhat high, that still gets a moderate grade from me because the volatility of it can really affect things for people. It also kind of makes businesses hunker down, and they don't put more money into their businesses. They don't invest and grow those businesses because they're not sure where the economy is going. So volatility is just as bad as poor stock market performance, if that makes sense. So those are our 5 measures of how the economy is doing, and let's pull it all together. What does it all mean? And so we have our little color coding of grades. Things that are not doing so well at all are in red. Things that are fairly okay, I'd give it a solid B. Those are in blue. And we do have a couple of measures that are solidly in the green. Things are going in the right direction in those things. And then, of course, I wrap it all up and give the economy an overall grade. So I give this month a B minus. Going into September, sometimes we see a dip. Retail sales don't really go great places. But I'm sorry, I don't think I updated this bottom left part right. But this month it gets a B minus. The election is going to cause some volatility, uncertainty. Businesses don't really want to invest right now because they're not sure how things will fall out and what will be their best strategy. So they kind of just hunker down and don't do much. So a B minus isn't bad. It's not like we're seeing a downward trend, but that's kind of where the economy is right now. And so what does it mean for you? What are some things you can do for yourself? It means that you can kind of keep going with your plan. Nothing is dire. We're not going to fall off a cliff. We should see things improve in the next couple months as a holiday spending starts and that kind of thing. So now that we're done with this portion, let's get to the discussion portion of what we do. And I'm going to stop my screen share. So now's the time to ask questions. What does this mean for me? I would love to hear, almost all of you are in completely different industries. And so it would be really nice to hear, how do you think the economy is affecting your industry? I know the pandemic has caused some more shutdowns in a couple of counties, some non-essential businesses. Sherry, I don't think you're in Adams County, but Adams County closed down non-essential businesses like gyms again. And that has an effect on people. We also know that expanded unemployment benefits have stopped, and people are starting to dip into their personal savings to make up any gaps between their actual employment status and how much money they need to keep their households running. So this is our Q&A portion. If you can raise your hands, and you can raise your hands in Zoom, click participants at the bottom of your screen, and that'll pop up on the right side of your Zoom. And then you will see a raise hand button. So if you have something to say, please unmute yourself and share. If you have questions or anything like that. Did this month go, some of you have been here before, so did this month go the way you thought it would? Is it worse? Is it better? How are you guys all being affected in your own industries?
I can kick it off if you want.
Please.
Yeah, we ended up getting a couple pretty good-sized contracts that we didn't think we would. I'm not close enough to it to know whether or not, those were capitalized projects that were in the works, and we just got awarded them. But nevertheless, I think it was great news for us. I and not a political or any other type of comment. I think everybody's just ready to get November behind them, so we have a direction. I think you're spot on. I think the uncertainty with respect to bailout money, whether that's us getting it directly or our vendors getting it, our customers getting it, it's all just adds to the uncertainty. So I think there's cautious optimism in my industry. We deal a lot with hospitality and those types of businesses, and our application is not mission critical. So we tend to suffer pretty quickly when things aren't going well for businesses. There was the big push through the summer was our customers asking for relief on their contracts, and that slowed dramatically. So if that is a leading indicator for us, that's good news. I think the overall attitude about us is let's get November behind us, and we're cautiously optimistic about where we'll be in 6 months.
That's awesome. Thanks, Joe. I mean, I'm really encouraged to hear that things are going well. I don't know if you guys here have thought about it this way, but this is one of the most unequal economic crises we've ever seen. People who are in low skill labor jobs, and this does not mean they're not necessary, it just means you don't need a college degree to work in a restaurant. Low skill labor jobs are being hurt. You know, the service industries, restaurants, personal services, Sherry, Sarah, you guys both know all of this. And yet companies like Joe's, which is awesome, that usually you suffer in a bad economy, and you guys are seeing some really good news. And Joshua works in tech startups. The tech community is doing really well right now. And that's unusual in an economic crisis. So it really is the most unequal, but we are seeing a lot of reasons for optimism. So thank you, Joe. Jen.
Totally unrelated industry. What I am hearing about the optical industry overall is that, they had to shut down basically March and April, and were really hurting and stressing, and that they have recovered for their annual revenues since they've opened because of the pent-up demand.
So you're seeing they saw a spike in demand, a seasonally unusual spike because of that pent-upness?
Yeah, for sure. Even though they were only able to, they had to have to limit the number of people in their facilities. I mean, they're really balancing some stuff and making it work. I think part of the success is due to the move online. Everybody needs help. Seeing clearly, looking amazing, because this is all we got. And this is all our eyes are focused on all day, every day, those of us who can work that way. And so that has affected, because my business is completely online, that's really affected my business in a positive direction.
Thank you, Jen. Amanda.
Can I ask a question before we move on? Joe asked an excellent question that is burning my curiosity too earlier, and that is, why do you think we saw durable goods numbers missed in September?
It's not something I'm super concerned about. I mean, most of the time, I'm actually really impressed that they do meet that deadline every month. I mean, think about it. We're dealing with a country of 350 million people in 50 different states. I mean, the fact that they can coordinate all of those numbers at once is pretty impressive. It's not something I'm super concerned about, but it was noteworthy. So I'm really sorry if I made that sound like a bigger deal than it was.
Not as much of a concern as a curiosity.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious, but I mean, the fact that you have people who they're limited at work time because of COVID. They're all trying to communicate online. They're trying to do their same jobs. it impresses me more of the time that they are so on time and so reliable most of the time. So a curiosity, but not a concern.
Thank you.
Amanda.
Hi, yes. So I'm in the marketing industry, and it's been a really interesting year because obviously in the beginning, it just like dead, like completely dead. All of my small business, I work mostly with small businesses, and all of them were like, okay, great. We have to figure out what we're doing before, like how we're going to survive this before we can even think about you, which is a little counterintuitive because in all reality, like most of the businesses who got on top of their marketing and changed and pivoted immediately were the ones who survived. And so some of the businesses that I was working with that like were able to completely change what their mission, like who they are and what their brand is, they were able to survive. Like they're still going. In terms of now, I'm seeing a lot more of my businesses who are continuing that branding change, going into a new year, kind of figuring out who they are, and where they fit into this COVID and on the online world and what that means and how they're going to do that, because a lot of us are used to network in person or get referrals from people in person, and now it's all gone online and on social media, and their websites need to be amazing because that's where people are going now. And they need to be super user friendly and all this stuff like that. So there's a demand for it for certain industries that have actually survived, unfortunately, this long. Or fortunately, I should say this long, but the ones that unfortunately haven't. And I'm also seeing a lot of people personally who, like Joshua, are having their complete jobs impacted, or they just decided themselves that they want to change. And so I have done tons of rebranding headshots for people that are applying for jobs or getting on boards or doing all that kind of stuff, and they're just really trying to get their brand out there of who they are in this economy right now, because the employment rate is so high. And so I am seeing a lot of people who are contacting me, especially this time of year before it snowed. It was like, it's when everyone wants to go outside and do outdoor headshots. And so, yeah, it's been really interesting to see how that all goes. And the end of the year is always one of those things. I think someone mentioned this earlier. The end of the year is always this hard thing where everyone starts spending money more in retail, but not in business necessarily. And then at the end of the year for the brand new year is when everyone starts, like all businesses start just like shoveling out money because they're like, it's a new year, it's a new year. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for, is like I'm kind of just trying to ride out the rest of the year and then try and cap all of the businesses who have like been able to really just like push through this whole year, and they're ready to go and ready to start working on that branding and online, and just to completely change who they are as a business or as a person and to fit into what's going on right now.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, I think it's a good message. Invest in your business even when you feel like you can't, or when it's hard. It's more thinking about when businesses are in trouble, they want to think about the short-term operations. How do I get going, or how do I keep going? But it's really valuable to kind of look at that long-term portion, that how am I going to survive long-term? So yeah, thank you. And Sherry, what have you been seeing?
My industry has been, I think, to some extent all over the place, and it depends on, I had an in-person gym of my own that was closed in March, like everybody was, and then I permanently closed at the end of July. And the business owners that I see that have brick and mortar gyms, some were able to shift online and some weren't. And I think so much of it depended on whether or not they could do what they do online. But for me personally, I had an online personal training program for years prior to this, and COVID actually really helped that for me, because once people almost didn't understand how it all worked. And then once people were forced out of their gyms into their homes and they had to like figure out a way, suddenly there was a lot more curiosity. And like, even though all my clients knew that I did online stuff, when I told them, hey, you know, the gym is shut down, I'm going to start doing classes on Zoom, so many were like, you can do that? And it's like, yeah, we can do that. Here's what you need. So it's been really interesting. And, you know, like I know of this gym in New York who did not do much with online training. And I kind of don't understand why they didn't, because they have everything they need and they're smart enough to do it. But they're like totally hinged on their gym reopening, and in New York things aren't happening. So yeah, I don't know, it's been really interesting and kind of, I think to some extent all over the place. But you know, now that things like Adams County shutting back down again, I think that's going to be interesting to see like what the trickle down effect is, because like a lot of my clients were starting to get antsy to go back to in-person training, and I wasn't in a position to do it yet, you know, from several different logistical aspects, but also I didn't feel like it was the safest environment. And especially because a lot of, or not a lot, but a decent amount of my clients are over 60. So I didn't feel like it was a safe environment for people. And now that the weather has started turning and the numbers have started creeping up on COVID again, and now Adams County closing gyms, like my attendance is starting to go back up, and people are like, okay, I guess we're doing this thing online. So yeah, I don't know, it's been really interesting and all over the place. And I'm really interested to see what happens through the holiday season, because holiday time is actually very, very slow in gyms. And it always was super slow in my gym. No matter what I did to try and keep people motivated through the holidays, you know, I would just see their fitness be their last priority in life when the holiday rush is happening. And since we're not going to have the same holiday rush, I'm really curious to see if my attendance numbers are up. And then the other interesting thing for me is I never had that normal January 1, got to get fit kind of rush. I think that was more bigger gyms that had that than I did. My rush usually happened more like March, April, when people realize that this gym that they bought the membership for, they're not going to, and they need more accountability. And so then they would come to me. So I'm curious to see if that changes for me too, you know, going into January, like I might have more of a rush than I normally had. I don't know. There's a lot up in the air, but a lot that has changed for the better for me. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a couple minutes left. I think we've got time for one more. Tracy? Sorry, Sarah, I'm not sure we have time, but I'm just kind of going in order. So what are you seeing, Tracy?
Yeah, I'm just going back to kind of what Amanda said. It's interesting. My previous job was corporate marketing. And I keep in touch with a lot of my team. And I think the stance with their company was, we're just going to wait this out. And, you know, we're going to just wait out COVID, and it's going to just be the same after, you know, it's just going to be completely back to normal. And it wasn't really addressed. It was just kind of like a waiting game. And they're struggling now because they didn't do anything to pivot and to kind of rebrand and to make those changes. So, you know, I'm really close with the team I used to work with, and that's just what happened. It's obviously, if you're not making those adjustments to what the environment is around you, it's not going to work. In the real estate industry, it's interesting because obviously the interest rates are just insanely low. So there's this gap between, you know, the buyer side and the selling side, because everyone wants to buy because, you know, before the election, because we don't know what's going to happen after that. And then on the other hand, the seller side, I think you want to wait until after the election to sell because we don't know what's going to happen. So there's that uncertainty that, Melissa, you were talking about. So it's interesting. I mean, there's just a gap with the inventory available. So while if you're a buyer, you eventually will find you something, but it's definitely taking a little bit longer just because there's so many more offers on homes, particularly out in the suburbs now. People don't need to be in downtown Denver in a condo. That used to be kind of the preferred living. You know, I want to be downtown and near everything and near my office, where now everything's virtual. downtown is fairly vacant these days. So it's just different. It's interesting, the adjustment, seeing all these offers on these homes out in Highlands Ranch, where it used to be more those kind of Denver neighborhoods, those communities. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you can definitely buy and find something. This is a longer process at this point, is what I'm seeing.
Awesome. Thank you. Sarah, if you want to go briefly, I love hearing how, everyone clearly knows their industry really well, and I think it's cool to kind of see how the different parts go together. So Sarah, you had something to share?
Yeah, it's probably maybe obvious once you think about it, but personal development and CBD sales are on the rise as we are facing this uncertainty. It's so interesting to me because we've never had control, but we've had this wonderful illusion of control. So now that people are feeling helpless and afraid and anxious, what can I turn to? So, under the umbrella, I do the mental and emotional training under this umbrella called Conscious Transformation. And Joey Klein does 4 weekends a year in about 3 or 4 different cities. So before this all happened, you would have to travel, get a hotel room, take the whole weekend off, find childcare, whatever that was. Now they've been able to pivot into virtual. So even going into next year, we hope to do more in-person stuff. There are these virtual options. So we're reaching more people than ever. And it's just been incredible to see people find freedom and joy and connection while stuck at home, and when they were completely terrified of what was going to happen in the future. And then CBD sales, of course, we can't all do our personal care as much anymore with certain things being shut down, so people are turning more to supplements and CBD and all that. So it's been great. Thank you, COVID, in a weird way.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. That's about all we have time for regarding our discussion, and really lively discussion. I really appreciate how everyone's contributing. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go over our Smart Money Minute. And if you guys are connected with me on Facebook or LinkedIn, I try and post interesting thoughts, based on education about where the economy is going and why, things you may not be thinking of. And today's thought is about who's on your financial team. When we think about the people on our financial team, who do we think of? Someone give me a shout out. Who's like the first person you think of? Who's on your financial team?
My wife.
Retirement advisor.
Advisor.
Yep. Number one.
Planner, advisor.
Yep, your financial advisor. And that is exactly kind of what I would think of too. That's exactly what I would think of too. But now that I'm really in this industry and I'm looking at it from a slightly different perspective, your financial team is actually way bigger than you think. So another person who's on your financial team are the people who work at your bank, your bankers. Sometimes it's a favorite teller, sometimes it's a banker, sometimes it's just the person available at the moment. But they're a huge part of helping you manage your finances. The next person that everyone uses is their insurance person. And this is their home, renter's insurance, auto insurance, that kind of thing. And so these are the people who everyone has on their financial team that you don't really usually think of that way, right? Another person that nearly everyone has on their financial team is their health insurance person. Now, a lot of you might get that through work. A lot of you might get that through an online marketplace. Some people actually have a health insurance broker, but this person helps you manage your finances because sadly, in this country, your health has a lot to do with your finances. Other people that may or may not be on your financial team are your realtor, your mortgage broker, an attorney. Legal Shield is a great opportunity for that. You have your estate planning attorney, you have your regular attorney. If you're divorced, you have your family law attorney. So your attorney is a big part of your financial team. And then, of course, you have your tax advisor and or your accountant. And so that person, all of these people are a really big part of your financial team. And so I remember I was thinking about this recently and I was kind of mind blown about how many people are on your financial team, but it's not overwhelming because we're all just used to dealing with these things. Is this a new thought for anyone? Your financial team is way bigger than you think. And so now let's look at where these people fit in your plan. And the role that I fill here, and of course it's not this list is not in order of priority, of course, but the role that I fill is protecting you. Who is the person who is protecting your home, your family, your lifestyle? Who's protecting you in the case that things go sideways? Life is never a straight path. We have switchbacks, we have turns, we have unexpected events. We go off the rails sometimes. And when people think financial advisor, what that person really does for you is that's your risk and speculation person. They have a really important role to fill for you, but it is only one role in your overall financial picture. And so let's look at a visual way of how we think about where all of these people fit. I am not an artist. The best you will ever get out of me is stick figures, so forgive me for that. But when we look at our financial picture, we're looking at our financial house. And the place we always start with your financial house is your foundation. Anytime you build any kind of structure, you start with a solid foundation first. And so your foundation is you're protecting the assets that you have. They can all, at the very first time things go off the rails, you can lose these things if you don't have that solid foundation of protection first. And so of these people on your financial team, who goes where? This is your foundation. This is your protection. This is your living space. This is your day-to-day decisions on how you spend your money and what you do with your money. And once you have those two things in place, this is your sky. This is your sky's the limit. This is your wealth building. This is how you really get to where you want to be. But these two things really do have to come first. And so when we, let's kind of see where all of these people fit. This one's easy, home auto insurance. That one's really obvious. I said all the words. They protect you, they insure you. And so they go right here in your financial foundation. That's where your insurance person goes. Your realtor and your mortgage broker, they go in your living space. They help you decide literally where your house is, and this is the living space part of your financial house. What about your health insurance person? Insurance is kind of a protection. So that health insurance person is also going to go down here in your financial foundation. Not everyone has health insurance, but if you possibly can, it's a really important part of how you protect yourself. Your tax advisor and your accountant, they go in this living space. They help you make day-to-day, year-to-year decisions on how to reduce your overall lifetime tax burden and your overall tax burden year-to-year. Your bank, that person helps you with the day-to-day living decisions. Your risk speculation person, your financial advisor, the person we think of first, really important part of your financial plan, but they're this part. They're the risk speculation. They can lose your money. And so when we think about wealth building, that's not the first thing that's not the first solid part of a financial plan we need. And what I do here, I'm also helping part of that financial plan. I'm not the only person on your financial team. I'm not the most important part of your financial team, but I do want to be part of your financial team and help everyone think about these really important things in ways that we maybe don't usually think of them. Your attorney, they kind of help you make those day-to-day living decisions, day-to-day, year-to-year. So that is all the time we have today. Are these new thoughts for anyone? I aim to be interesting. I was less funny today than usual. I'm so sorry. I know. I've let a few of you down, but don't worry. I will be funny again. I promise. So let's wrap it up. It is right at the top of the hour. So any final thoughts? Anything anyone wants to share right before we wrap up? Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here. I hope I will see you again. The economy is not a one-shot snapshot. It's kind of a thing that changes and grows over time. And so you are all welcome again. And I hope you guys learned something. And I hope this is a good start to your day, having that confidence about where the economy is and where it might be going and things you can do to help improve yourself and your own financial plan for your family. And thank you all for coming.